It's Danielle. Today we are going to talk about a little, we'll call it a condition. Some people call it a mental illness. It's actually more common than you think it is, but not a lot of people know about it. So, shaking. Have you ever seen a young girl with no eyelashes or eyebrows or bald spots on her head and wondered if maybe she had cancer? Or you saw someone like that looked healthy and you immediately judged them? We've all done it. What you don't realize is that these girls and boys suffer from a condition called trichotillomania. Trick for short. What trichotillomania is, it's a body-focused repetitive behavior that is classified as an impulse control disorder, and it's also been linked to OCD. About 1 to 2% of adults and adolescents suffer from this condition. It occurs more frequently in females than it does in males. Basic signs of trich begin to show between the ages of 9 to 13. It's typically triggered by stressful events or traumatic events such as family conflict, abuse, or death of a loved one. People that suffer from trich most commonly also suffer from depression and anxiety. Having all three of those conditions together causes a very low quality of life. Trich sufferers often avoid activities with friends or social situations due to the embarrassment of having these bald spots or no eyebrows. It's very hard to live with. A lot of people that suffer from it are ashamed of it. They're ashamed to let people know what it is because it's not heard of a lot. They tend to isolate themselves, which can cause the condition to become worse. When they isolate, they get more stressed out, they start pulling more. It's pretty difficult. The common pull sites include the eyelashes, eyebrows, and scalp, although some people also pull hair from their body like the arms or the legs. They haven't quite, well, there's been research done on the condition. They haven't quite figured out the exact cause, whether it's genetic, hereditary, or just chemical imbalance within the brain. The treatments available include habit reversal therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, as well as medications. And although these treatments are available and do tend to work pretty well, there's not anything that will cure it 100%. It's not something that just goes away. As a trich sufferer myself, I know firsthand the fear, shame, and stress that comes from the pulling. And while I've gained control of my disorder over the years, it is still a daily struggle to fight the urge to pull. Like cutting, with the pain comes relief from the stress, and it helps me feel in control when the world around me is falling apart. Trichotillomania can devastate and control a person's life, or they can choose to take control themselves. Like I said before, it will never completely go away. Just like an addict or an alcoholic, these people will fight the urge to pull for the rest of their lives. Do we have any questions?
When was trich a more, prominent illness?
It tends to happen more often in children.
Okay.
I started when I was 9 years old. Went through a lot of changes. My mom had just gotten married, started a new school, new people, was being bullied. We had no idea what it was at that point. That was 20 years ago. I went to the nurse one day, and the nurse called my mom and told her, your daughter has no eyebrows or eyelashes, which can be a problem because your eyelashes keep dirt out of your eyes. It keeps you from getting infections. and stuff like that. And so my mom immediately took me to the doctor. Doctor didn't even know what was wrong with me. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 13. And my psychiatrist is the one that told us about it. We'd never heard of it. So we started doing research on what it was, what causes it. And like from what we found out, it's more prominent. You'll see it more in children between the ages of 9 to 13. As they grow up, they find ways to deal with it. Like for me, I was put on medication, but the medication made me feel like a zombie. I refused to take it. So I did the behavioral therapy. If you notice, I have rubber bands or hair ties. When I feel the urge to pull, I pop myself with a rubber band until the urge goes away. Or like if I'm sitting at home and I don't have a rubber band, I color. It's a pretty, like, y'all are actually the first people besides my family that know I have it. I haven't told any of my friends, well, my husband knows, but I haven't told any of my friends about it. Because you feel ashamed for, people ask me all the time, why don't you have any eyebrows? It's a condition I have.
Well, I mean, that's who you are, so why feel ashamed?
People don't understand. They're like, well, doesn't it hurt when you pull your hair out? In a sense, yes. I mean, have you ever pulled one of your hairs out?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't tickle, but for whatever reason, that pain feels good to us. And it's hard to explain that to somebody. Like, I don't know if y'all come across students who are cutters, self-harmers. They're the same way. The pain feels good to them. And it's hard to explain why. So I've always been ashamed of it, but now I'm 29 years old. I've come a long way since I was a kid and half bald. So, any other questions? Have y'all ever heard of it before?
Never.
Never?
I mean, I've heard of people doing it, I just didn't know what the name of it was.
Yeah, when I first heard the name, I said, Trico what? Wait, what? That is a really long word. I have a friend who has a similar condition. I forget the exact name for it, but she has an obsession with cutting her hair. Like when she's going through a stressful event, she'll just like obsess, like, okay, my hair's not even, and she'll cut it. And she's been trying I've known her for 5 years now, and she's been trying to grow her hair out, and it hasn't worked because as soon as she hits a depression, she goes and like shaves off half of her hair, and it's pretty, it's cool to know, like when I found out I had it, I felt alone. Never heard of it, didn't know anybody that had it. And so I've joined a support group on Facebook with specifically for people that have this condition, and it's been pretty amazing to know I'm not the only one. So.